city in the midst of a not so peaceful island. And we are doing our best really to make it business friendly if we talk about money. Mindanao holds a great promise in agriculture. The problem is it is beset with the remnants of the rebellion of the yesteryears. There's still a great feeling of nationalism amongst the Muslim population. And there is always the hurt over the centuries, the injustice committed against the Moro people. So in terms of money and agriculture, we talked to Mindanao and we are trying our best really to come up with something. I have talked to the communists and I would like to thank Norway. They are now in Oslo. The communists and the government panel are talking there, and I would like to thank the government of Norway for its good offices in these talks. I have talked to Murad, the leader of the MILF, one of the bigger factions in the secessionist movement, and despite the fact that the last time we were considering the BBL, Murad threatened to go to war if there is no BBL. By the grace of God, we were able to talk to him and said that you might want to postpone the rebellion, the war, because there is still enough time for us to talk about peace. And so with Nor Miswari of the MNLF, practically, this is really the picture of what is in Mindanao and the rest of the country. I expect a successful talks with the Communist Party, and that is why the soldiers of the Republic are freed of the war fronts here vis-a-vis with the Communists, the New People's Army. So I was able to move my troops to Mindanao, and that resulted really in a firefight until now, and also the reason why there was that blast in Davao City. It has always tit for tat for them, and because they are losing heavily because of the concentration of the troops that I have deployed from other areas. Wala nang NPA. At least there is no fighting right now. And because they are suffering heavy losses, there's always a time for retaliation and everything. But I said we are insisting, but this is really how it looks. I have talked to the major fronts. The problem is there is a sector in Mindanao which until now I cannot convince to talk to us. Why? They are the scholars, and scholars do not carry guns. There are a lot of them, and in some places in Mindanao, aplenty. We cannot do anything punitive for the simple reason that they are into the religious activity. And in this country, freedom of religion to practice one is always sacred. It's embedded in the Constitution, and it goes for all religions. Now, there are a lot of them called the tabliks, and they're very good, and they're straightforward. And nothing is wrong with that if you trace history. They would be something like the Knights of Columbus for the Catholic Church. So ito yun sila, they go around preaching. And for the reason that they are preaching really what is historical and true is something which is hard to overcome. In 1521, when Magellan landed somewhere in Leyte, bringing with him imperialism, the flag of Spain, the religion, plus the cannons and the gunpowders. So they were able to conquer almost half the Visayas because it's separate. It's not a contiguous thing. It's separated by islands up to Luzon. So, but that is history. For us, it's history. But the problem is, they had a good look at Mindanao. Ever since maybe God created the planet, it has all been situated below the typhoon belt. So everyone until now, pati tayo, all from us, look at Mindanao with a great promise for agriculture. And we can plant and grow, and we can harvest aplenty, were it not for the wherewithals, the dynamics going on. And so we can only find a peaceful compromise. I think that would have solved a great deal of our problems about food sufficiency and even the promise of export. I'm glad. I'd like to thank China for opening its doors again to the pineapple and the banana industry. Salamat po. Now, that as a predicate is something which I'd like to begin my simple story. You know, I'm said I'm not into the big league. I had failing grades in economics when I was in high school and college. It never was never interested in the graphs. It makes me dizzy to see the graphs going down and going up. I don't make any sense at all. Well, study just to pass. 75, 76. And I'm telling you the truth. I'm the classmate of Sunny Dominguez. We're childhood friends, same neighborhood, same vicarious interest. Lahat. And I was not able to finish in Ateneo because they threw me out. So, fine. And but he was the conceited guy of our class, valedictorian always. So, he knows the problem. But I became a lawyer, and for 8 years I was, for a while I practiced law. Then I went on to become a prosecutor, and I was doing trial work in court for about 7 years. I believe in law and order. I hate criminals. Maybe there is one of my years in the court. I hate drugs. I have seen so many lives destroyed and people wallowing in filth of money because of drugs, the drug lords. And I have seen so many cases fall in court because of corruption. Money bought judges, prosecutors, police submitting an alum instead of the tawas, instead of the real McCoy. They look alike. Shabu. And those are the things that I had to endure when I was a lawyer. When I became a mayor, if you just listen to me, this is my economics. This is my business. No big deals. I ran for mayor in 1988, and I stayed there for 23 years. Last, went on to become a congressman and a vice mayor to my daughter. I knew the problems of a city in a troubled place, and I just did my work. The native in me just simply went for simple rules. I said in my inaugural speech for the first time in 1988, I said, you criminals, kidnappers, gun for hire, whether soldiers or civilians, or whatever animal you are, go out of the city or I will kill you. And I was very specific to those who are into drugs. And you are now destroying a generation of Filipinos. Go out because I will kill you. And that was the rule. I do not have to go into specifics. But I saw my city grow or grew, and I said to the businessmen, and the Davaoenos would tell you this, I am not a business person. I have a limited field. About the only thing that I encountered about business was during the study of law, and it was legal accounting. At hirap ako ng subject na yan because I could not understand why will you spend debit 500, then you put it again, debit 500. There must be something wrong in the system. Why just you would just list down your expenses and your income? You do not have to worry about this hula baloo. And so even then, I was not really interested in business. But I was interested more in criminal law because I really wanted to be a lawyer and a criminal law. As a matter of fact, my dream was just to be appointed as a Sandigan Bayan. It's the criminal courts handling the cases of employees in government. Yun lang po. So the business, I said, I will take care of the environment. I told the late Jesus Ayala, he was one of the, who would call me every now and then. Ano sinabi ko ganun lang? I will make the city peaceful. I will make corruption a past in the city. I was the first city to impose a 3-day limit of clearances, whether it is electrical, business, or whatever, 3 days or 72 hours. After that, you explained to me why it took you more than 72 hours to process a simple paper. That was the rule in Davao. Then I said, no corruption. So I will kill you. Not in the hyperbole, but maybe just out of some passion in it. It carries more of the passion, not really the literal. And Davao grew and grew and grew. And Davao, you can, except for the blast, which we expected because it was a retaliation thing, and to a certain extent it was a failure of intelligence. But Davao is now what it is because of the simple rules. I do not like corruption. I gave each department in this government now, in the national, 3 days, 1 month. 1 month. Then all the papers clearances 3 days. From the presidency, I have yet to formulate the local instructions because local government officials are not under my control, but they are under my supervision according to the Constitution. So I cannot supplant or change the decision, but I can, put them in place by just requiring the many days. Considering the nuances of local governance, maybe I'd place them something like 4, 5 days, 1 week. Tapos na. At dito naman sa national, 1 month. And I said, I assembled men who are